Hey everyone and welcome. This is Chuck Hogan with Your Best Life and welcome to the Spanglish World Network on Zingo TV channels 250 and 251. Please remember to download the Zingo TV app on the respective app stores on iOS and Android devices. While you download, make sure you rate and leave a comment. It's really important to us. The app is completely free. Zingo TV is also available on Google Chromecast, Amazon Fire TV sticks, and Roku sticks on all smart TVs 2016 and forward. So, boy, have I got a treat for you tonight. And I want to just say welcome everyone because it's been a hot minute. And I am so grateful to be back. And joining me tonight is a woman that really, her reputation precedes her. She is a coach, she is a neurostrategist, she is a mom, she is a maven of movement and motion and emotions. Cindy Gould is a woman that walks the talk and is so motivational in so many different ways. And I'm blessed to call her a friend and a cohort. So thank you for being here, my friend. It's beautiful to see you. And I appreciate this opportunity to connect with you. Um, yeah, the last couple times we've had chances to speak and to commune with one another, it's been so magical to be able to have these levels of communication and to chat about things in a very spirited, open, and beautiful way. You know, it's kind of crazy out there right now, and right. And so I loved when we were bantering around topics, and you're like going, "Well, let's ask some questions. Who are you?
Mhm.
Why are you here? And what are you going to do about it?" So it's like going, wait, what? So I loved where you went with this. And let me ask you, first of all, how are you feeling today?
Gosh, I'm so good. Thank you. It's really windy here, so forgive me if I have a tissue. All the dust is getting, but
Oh,
it's beautiful. I live in the Pacific Northwest, and so
no.
it's always gorgeous up
Oh,
here. And
absolutely. The
yeah,
weather's
so
changing.
yeah,
I'll just say, hey, we're not in Florida. And so, and
right.
God bless them. Hey, for all of my friends that live in Florida, please be
Yeah,
careful. Take care of yourselves. Heed the warnings because I don't know about you all. I'd love to surf, but not on 20-foot storm surge. So um, please take care of yourselves. And this goes to Cindy's second question: why are you here? So when we start to look at life, Cindy, these are really poignant questions, and one of the strongest needs that any human being has to remain consistent with their identity. And
yep.
so that really goes to your first question of why are you here? So why are we here?
Right. Well, i-
Well,
and
and
who
actually,
really?
I actually jumped to number two because you
Yeah.
actually asked the really important question, which is, who are
Right.
you?
And who are you really?
Mm,
Not who did you grow up believing you were
right.
because of who your parents believe they were, etc., right? No fault, just is. And now it's so fascinating. I know you have children younger than mine, and but I do have grands that are in their teenagers and younger. And I think, how do you even figure out who you are when you've got all this
Mm, yes.
telling you who you're supposed to be, right? And as you're trying to figure it in, and I think, I tell people, because those are the basic questions I ask somebody when I start working with them.
Mm,
It's like, who are you? And then we figure it out. Like, do you even know? Because most people, like, I don't know. Remember that scene in Runaway Bride with Julia Roberts, and she's eating all the eggs,
yep.
right? Trying to figure out which egg she really likes because she just morphed into whoever would whatever it would take for that person to love her,
Right.
right? So let me just like your eggs the way that you like your eggs, and let me
Right.
just clean the house the way you like it done, or wear what you want me to wear, or whatever. But so if when you looked at that question, Chuck, I know you're really solid, but what did you think? Okay, well, who am I anyway? Like,
You
and how
know,
did you figure that out?
and thank you for asking it that way as well. What immediately came to mind for me, Cindy, was, and this is going to sound maybe a little quirky, but I'm going to put it out there anyway. And that is, I went to your second question first. And they're like, why? And I said, because who you are is really predicated on where you're living.
Mm.
So, as if you would ask me who I am as a father, who I am as a friend, as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, as a strategist, as a manifester of magnificence and energy. And I go, wow. So I started asking this very simple question. Are you the same person in the boardroom and the bedroom?
Mm.
Are you the same person in the bedroom as you are in church? Are you saying the same person in church as you are on the playground?
Right.
And all of a sudden they're like going, same person, same body, different modalities, different nuances, different levels of expectation and
Mhm.
engagement. And they go, well, but it's all the same person. And I said, so who are you? And I said, I can answer that in a very generalized statement. I'm a husband, father, and friend that lives as a loving, guided gift from God.
Mm.
And they go, okay. It's like, wait, what? I said, those are the things that matter most to me.
Yeah.
And they go, wait, but being a megapreneur or a solopreneur, an entrepreneur, or I go, I can open more businesses. I'm not getting another wife. I'm not getting additional children. I may be blessed with grandchildren someday, but at
Yay.
this juncture,
Mhm.
right? So
Right.
part of this, so thank you for asking the question that way, because oftentimes there is confusion around who are we?
Right. Right. And I love that. When I started diving into it for myself, the first thing I went in order of appearance. So
Mm,
daughter, right? Of course, just the way you did with the titles, the roles, et cetera, that we play. And yet daughter, mother, grandmother, and I'm a conduit of God's light, love, joy. And I bring that with me no matter where I'm at. And
yeah,
that's really my the way that when I say, okay, so who is Cindy? She's a joy catalyst. Who is Cindy? She is absolutely, my job is to love. That's it. It's pretty basic for me, and to bring light and love to every situation. Does that mean we all sit around singing kumbaya, ooey gooey, go for guts? Heck no. Sometimes love requires a sword. I mean,
yes,
and that you're a parent. Right? That's the way it works as a father, and with your mate sometimes, even, I mean, sometimes, or with your people that you work with, and with YBL, with people that you coach, and other things that you do. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do for somebody is to just hold a mirror, or
yes,
to, I mean, and as to your very valuable point, you are going to be different. You use the word modalities. What a beautiful word. And we are different aspects of us show up, the ones that are most worthy, I would say, of being in those moments, because
mm,
that's the ones that need to show up in those moments, whatever that is, right?
and
Bedroom
and you
church.
100%. And you asked the most poignant question, which really dovetails all this together, and that is the why.
Mhm.
Why? What? So why are you here, and what are you going to do about it?
Right.
Right?
Right.
Because I know
Right.
too many people that go to programs and they have notebook after notebook of content and information, and you know they have more paper, they've killed more trees, and yet this stuff is sitting on their shelf. It might as well be a cabinet, because they have more shelf help than they know what to do with. And I, I, I mean, isn't it crazy? Because you're like, oh, I've been to this event and this event and this event and this event. And I go, and they go, oh, and I got all these books. And I go, have you read them? Nope. But I got them signed. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Right.
So are you using them to start fires? They're like, what do you, what kindling? What are these for? And I started to realize that for some people, out of their need to meet the 6 human needs,
Mm.
that there was this level of identity and significance around being a professional student. And it's almost like this moniker. I'm like, I'm a, I'm a perpetual, learner. And I'm
Mm.
like, that's great, because in my model of the world, if you're not growing, you're dying. And so it's like, keep on the path of growth, whatever that means to you. And
Right.
yet I would also say, are you putting into practice what has been preached? And they go, wait, they go, I'm not preaching it. And I said, I know you're not, because that would be putting into practice.
Thank you. Right. Or even one aspect of it. Take one nugget.
Well,
And
apply
are
it.
you walking that one, just one little thing? Did you increase your water? There you go. Are you drinking? No, I'm still dehydrated. I still don't sleep, all the things, right? And I know, and again, I know you come from this world, the Tony world, and I know Vinu, my, our beloved, we know all the people that, and yet I hear people, I went to my 7th UPW and this and that. I'm like, okay. I'm thinking to myself,
I'm like, how's
why?
that working out for you? I mean, it's like going,
Right,
wait, what? And
right.
I got called out on this before. I did. And
Mhm.
it was like, they're like going, oh, well, how many UPWs have you gone to? And I said, too many. But there's a difference. And the difference is, are you there under the auspices of engagement,
Mhm.
volunteerism,
Mhm.
servitude,
Mhm.
or just to connect?
Right.
And they go,
Right.
well, is it wrong? I go, no,
No wrong.
but don't feign that you're making these shifts
Mhm.
when what you really aspire is or energetic connection.
100%.
And so you'll take a week out of your time and fly yourself to an event, pay for a hotel room, or stay in a hotel room with 10 other people, or whatever. I never did that, but whatever floats your boat. And
Right.
and and I go, okay, did you learn?
Right.
Because I can take you to the gym of life, and Cindy, you're so brilliant at this, and I know this is part of who you are. And we can sit there and go, here's a weight bench, here's a lat pull down machine, here's a leg extension, a leg curl, here's all the free weights, here's a Pilates machine, here's a treadmill, here's a. And it's like, yeah, look at this gym. Whew. Boy, Cindy, they've got everything we need. Where are we going to start? And I know you, and you're like, going, what? Pick one. Let's just
Right.
pick one.
Pick one. Let's
And that's
go.
where we're going to start. And I'm like, awesome. Yet I see these people on the habit trail of life, and it's like going, oh, it's your 7th UPW, your 4th day of destiny. And I was like, wow, did you miss the date? Like, because I don't know. Your destiny is still undetermined, apparently, because I don't get it. And they're
Right.
like, yeah, but there's got to be a way, right? And I said, yes, it's called start.
Something.
Thank you.
Right.
They're like, well, where? I go, well,
Where are you at?
let's even start with the elephant. Let's start with like a mouse.
Right.
And let's take a small bite, nibble, pick an ear, pick an ear,
Right.
nose, tail, pick something, but you got to take a bite. But you're not eating your own cooking if you don't chew it and digest it. And
Mm.
this is the part that I started noticing with people, is that it's kind of like admiring a beautiful meal.
Mm.
You sit there and look at it and go, oh my gosh, that is like food.
Or- Yep.
And then they go, it looks delicious. And I was like, going, well, let's dive in. Oh no, I couldn't. And I'm like going, wait, what? Because moi is starving. And like it's last time I checked, we came into those doors expecting to have delicious food. Big dog got to eat. And so
Yep.
it's like going,
Yep.
okay, why do I say it that way? Because there are some times in life you will go to a restaurant and it'll be a 12-course meal and you're going to have samplers.
Yeah.
I'm not that kind of eater.
Nope.
Because you go in And I could tell you story after story, but I will say this. I've been to some tastings where it was like a thimble of basil froth. And I mean, literally, it looked like it was made for a Lilliputian, you know, and they bring it out and it's on this silver charger and there's 6 of us at this dinner and there's these 6 little thimbles and I'm like going, what, like, is there, what do you do with these? Like they go, oh, this is a compliment from the chef and it's a tasting of this amazing leek basil broth. And you're like going, okay. Oh, it's like gazpacho. And I'm like going, and I'm not embellishing when I say it was like this. Ooh,
Okay.
pinky up. Ooh, I mean, it was like, needless to say, for the 6 of us at this dinner, it was $7,300 for dinner. And we were so starving. This was in Las Vegas. I said, you know what? I'm getting us a cab. This was pre-Uber. I'm getting us a cab and we're going to In-N-Out Burger.
100%.
We
Right.
gorged ourselves on double animal style oh, it was a party. We're all in suits and ties and they're in gowns and it's like, oh, you know what? But why do I go there? I said, had we had a clear outcome
Mm.
and known that the connection and the communion between people over $100 worth of hamburgers and fries and shakes and stuff
Ranch dressing.
could have given us, girl, don't make me hungry over here, and would have subsidized the over $7,000 dinner.
Right.
And it was an experience where we go, okay, we experienced it.
Right.
So doesn't this go back to a degree, Cindy, as to your original question? Because who was showing up? And I said, I was showing up as a business executive who was taking a bunch of people to dinner. And the net result is that in that desire to impress clients, we took them to a meal that they said, we need to go to this Daniel Ballard restaurant in the wind. And I was like, okay. And I'm reading everything about it. It's like, okay, well, it's a tasting. It sounds good. We're not going to be overly, stuffed. And I was like, going, man, I was looking for that ribeye buffet. I mean, it was like going, where's that bad boy? The all you could eat for $12. I'm like going, I guarantee you we wouldn't have been an In-N-Out Burger afterwards.
100%.
Right?
You'd be in food coma land. Well, you know what?
I would have had the meat sweats. I'm just being honest with you.
Like totally. And you know what's interesting? I haven't even thought about this in years. So when you said this, and the last moment that you said, the $7,300, and instantly where my brain went, this is what's wild, because I honestly haven't thought about this in years, was holy cow, you can buy a well in an African village for $7,300.
There you go.
You can buy a church in Thailand where the parish guy can have his own little parishy thing for $8,000. Yeah. And I'm thinking to myself, and he got a thimble. Like, you're telling me this, and I'm like, and you're in Vegas with the land of the buffet food coma place.
It is the most bananas thing, because I was, in hindsight, I go, that could have been a wind turbine providing electricity for an entire small village. That could have been a water purification system. That could have been educational books, shoes, clothing. And it was like, wow, how crazy are we in this 21st century that this has become the litmus standard as to what is sensible and sensical. And I said, but it's not.
Right.
And it's not, because we live in this, and I apologize, Kardashians, but I'm going to use your name in vain for a moment. When we start to look at this processed world, what the level of expectation is around people and their engagements and why that becomes imperative. And I go, is it so important that you have likes?
Right.
Is it so important that you have followers or subscriptions?
Right.
I look at these people who are being paid copious amounts of money, and I ask, are they giving anything substantive to the world? And they go, well, oh, I'm an entertainer. I'm that. I'm like, no, you're controversial. And irrespective of someone's political affiliation or what have you, words matter. Motive and intention are measurable.
Mm-hmm.
And we need to be accountable for the actions and the speak that we put out in this world. And
100%.
we're seeing now that people are getting caught in their own trappings. And they go, oh, well, I'm a human being, not a human doing, so I'm going to make mistakes. And I said, well, there's a difference. Then own it.
Right.
Own. The only reason why I can be here with you, my dear friend, is because I have 7 PhDs in screw ups. My wife will vouch. I'm a hot mess. And so I look at this and go, okay, if that's the case, then what is the benefit? And I said, the learnings, the
Right.
lessons,
Right.
experience.
Right.
And this comes down to something too that I'd love to get your insight on. And that is, what is your opinion? Because, and this is going to be really controversial. So please don't, like, in the chat box, what are you doing?
Well,
I started having some concerns in the coaching industry around the term coaching. And when people ask, they go, well, aren't you a coach? And I say, no. They're like, well, what was that little hesitation? I go, it's not a hesitation. I said, it's an identity. I'm a strategist.
See,
And they're like, semantics.
mm-mm,
Mm-mm,
mm-mm.
mm-mm.
Oh,
Word-
let me go. Let me go. I actually changed. In fact, I'm in the process of redoing all my branding because when people ask me, actually, I'm a reinvention strategist.
Nice.
And it isn't to reinvent who you are. It's to reinvent your life so it is in alignment with who you really are.
Beautiful. Love
And
that.
so and I am big on the word strategist. And so it's interesting because I'm actually rebranding a lot of things. It's so great that you asked this, and thank you, because I'm rebranding even as a breakthrough and transformation strategist as opposed to just coaching, because even as we're coaching, and I know you well enough to know that there's a part of you that comes alongside, and yes, with the strategy, yes, you might throw in some of the coaching, and yes, with mentoring, with the wisdom and the background that you have, and with every, like you said, all the PhDs you have that give you that lens. And back to something that you said, because I don't want to forget this, the dinner, right? And all of that. When we have moments and PhDs and all the things that provide us this beautiful fabric and all the threads to weave into our tapestry, right, of our lives. What I love is when I go treasure hunting. So I had a dinner with Thimble, Steph, and then we ended up going to In-N-Out, and had more fun, laughing and enjoying and dipping in the tartar sauce and the fry sauce and the, ranch dressing and all those things. And then when you go back and you reflect on that dinner, okay, what were the treasures there for me? What did you learn? Because what you said it, you wanted to impress, you wanted to whatever. And when we make those choices, right, a lot of it boils down to connection.
Yes.
We wanted to connect on a level that we would feel loved, appreciated. What does that boil down to, right? I mean, we already know which 6 needs, and we're wanting all of that. And, without knowing that we're going to be thimbled, right?
You're just like, oh my God.
Cold. But regardless, and you're thinking, okay, yeah, it's a write-off, but that's like you said. I mean, we can come up with lists of things we could have. We know people, we can buy them a car, they need a car, whatever, right? That's not the point. The point is literally, once again, when we come back to those questions, who am I, why am I here, and what am I going to do about it? Okay, well, won't do that again.
Well, and here was the deal. The justifications after the fact were crazy because people were going, and so I'll give you a little inside scoop. The only reason why we went there for dinner is because a rep who was working for me at the time needed my credit account because they knew that they didn't have enough left to take these people out to dinner, and they were a really good client. So he invited me at the last minute, and I was like, oh, okay, so I'm just the wallet. The most interesting part was, and the reason why the dinner was so expensive, is because they ordered 6 bottles of wine that were over $700 a piece. Now, I don't drink.
I don't either.
So I'm watching all these people get twisted. They're starving, and their personalities are changing in front of my eyes. That I'm like, I really just want to be taking notes right now because this is like the best blackmail dinner I could ever hope to attend in my life. I wish iPhones were better at that time because holy smokes. And it was really interesting, Cindy, because I started afterwards, and about 3 weeks later, we're all at an event, and we run into each other. And that was the high sign, like, how you doing? And they're like, what? Oh no, it was priceless. And so the entire time, like when we see each other, we'd be like, at different tables, different booths, what have you. And I said, what was your experience? And they said, Chuck, there was a time in my life that I would said that was high line living.
Mm-hmm.
And what was the takeaway? That an In-N-Out burger trumps basil froth any day of the week. And the company and the conversations you can have when you're in a truly authentic and fun state. Because this gal, she's like, we could have been wearing jeans and t-shirts and hanging out. Because the most memorable part of that event was when we drove back, they were staying at the Bellagio, and we got dropped off not in front of the casino. We asked them to drop us off in front of the water feature. And we watched the water feature. Beautiful. And then walked around, which took another half an hour. Because you're like going, when does this pond end?
Yes,
and we went back to the hotel and dropped them off. And they were like, wow, you fed us, you entertained us, we had great conversation. I'm more sober now. I said, well, that's what a couple double doubles will do for you. Yeah. And fry sauce. And so we got to the hotel and they said, this was an amazing evening. And to that, I would say the $7,200, it was priceless.
100%.
Now, people go, but could you have just done In-N-Out? And I said, coulda, shoulda, woulda. Because the next night we went out with a bunch of people, had bottle service at a club at Mix over in the Mandalay Bay. And it's like, and they go, well, what was that all about? Because I got called out again. They said, what, you can get bottle service it was the vice president of the company. And I was like, yeah. I said, I've got a buddy of mine. He's a whale. He comes out here all the time. And he goes, sure you do. I was like, ruh-roh, okay. And we took 15 people to a nightclub at Mix. And it goes back to, why do I say this? Because when you're sitting there at a table with 3 bottles of Dom Perignon that is on his credit, not mine, on his card this time, and Missy Elliott shows up to do personal sets at the club, you're like, and he's like going, who are you? And I just said, I'm the guy that just knows a few people that like to live life at another level. And so my identity at that moment, and this is going to sound maybe a little weird, was actually as a very humble human being. I realized I'm just a guy, but I know some amazing people.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, our frequencies intertwine, And this goes back to why you're here,
Yep.
because I have a deep desire to be around really cool people that are like-hearted, not just like-minded.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you say to someone, Cindy, when they're living in imposter syndrome?
Oh, golly,
I know I had to throw Pandora's box and just
I know, like, here we go, just keep them coming. What I like to do is I really break it down and look at, I'm really big on celebrating
Yes.
and celebrating all the little things, all the little wins, and then stacking them on the bigger things. The biggers are easy, but all the little things, like even when you had an opportunity to yell at your spouse and you didn't, or you had an opportunity to, be grumpy with your child and you took a breath and you were present
Yeah.
instead. And that was the present, right?
Mhm.
Or, and those are wins to me. Those are huge wins. And so when somebody's living in imposter syndrome like that, the first thing I want to know is, well, what do you really want? Like, what do you want?
Nice.
And then, well, let's celebrate where you're at, see where you are at, what do you want, and let's close the gap and just see where that is. 9 times out of 10, there's so much, as you know this from your life, so much further along on the path. It's just all the clogging that
Yes.
gets in the midst of it, and their BS, their belief system, of what they really believe is really going on, and it's not. It's a lot of times it's like, is that really? Is that
Hmm.
really how it is? You know, what do you
Trying to
think?
keep up with the Joneses is tough.
Yeah, the Kardashians.
I mean, I don't know the Kardashians. I don't know the Joneses, the Smiths,
Mhm.
the Carnegies, the Rockefellers.
Right.
And at some point in time, there becomes this condition. And I'll use two terms that may sound a little intellectual. So I'm going to apologize to everyone ahead of time because I'm not that smart. But there are two words, and they're called sympathetic,
Mm.
parasympathetic. Now, people go, "Oh, I've been sympathetic." And I said, "Great. What does it mean to you?" And they're like, "Oh, sympathetic means that you sympathize with people." And I say, "Well, actually, is sympathizing or sympathetic a positive or I'll say challenging state?" And they go, "Well, when you sympathize with someone, it's normally because they have a situation where they're having something challenging that's occurring." And I said, "That would be correct." So sympathetic literally means stressor.
Hmm.
So if you're living a sympathetic lifestyle, are you living a stressed lifestyle?
Hmm.
Achievement falls in this category. Progress falls in this category. Anything that requires drive, strive, push, pull, lifting, and
Love it.
commitment. And they're like, "Oh, is that a bad thing?" I said, "No, it's a lifestyle. Let's not brand it. Let's just call it what it is." Parasympathetic is when we actually go into relaxation and recovery.
Ooh.
So sleep for most people is parasympathetic unless they've lived such a sympathetic lifestyle that their body can't even find ease when it's sleep.
Hmm.
So we've all heard of the 80-20 rule, that 80% of what you experience comes from 20% of what's actually happening.
Mhm.
And the nuance of this is that most people are been conditioned and educated to live a sympathetic lifestyle.
Yep.
Achievement, doing, what is your grade level? What's your ranking in class? How many degrees do you have? How much money's in the bank? What kind of car do you drive? What kind of house do you live in? Do you travel? Do you not travel? Do you eat organic?
I love that.
Right? I mean, because they're like, "But are you
Right.
drinking alkalized water? Are you
Yeah.
using a water purifier?
Yes.
Are you breathing?" And I was like going, "Yep."
Yeah. Still
And
here.
so here's what started to happen though. people's identity starts to become wrapped around what they say after I am. So if you say I am busy, what you're basically telling me is that you're living in a sympathetic lifestyle
Mm-hmm.
because you're measuring the doings.
Mm-hmm.
To your point, who are you? I go, you're a busy person.
Mm-hmm.
And if I were to ask you, who lives longer, a busy person or a relaxed person?
100%.
Because they started finding out that simply by changing your breathing, you can drop into a parasympathetic state
Yep.
by simply doing box breathing.
Mm.
4 to 5 seconds, out for 4. Actually, it's in for 4 to 5 seconds, hold
Right.
4 to 5
Hold.
seconds,
Then
out
out.
5 seconds, and then hold.
Hold.
And what it does is it starts to equalize your oxygenation and also your consumption of carbon dioxide within your own body.
Mm.
People can breathe out for
Right.
4, but when they get down to hold for 4, they can't because now their body is trying to expel the carbon dioxide. They do not have any bandwidth
Mm.
for sympathetic, for stressors.
Right.
And they go, well, okay, well, why are you going there with this conversation? Because something as simple as breathing can set you free.
Yep.
And it also can be very sympathetic and triggering.
Yep.
So, Cindy, my dear friend, how do we help people move past some of these challenges?
I remember that, first of all, thank you for all of that and for sharing that with everybody who's listening now or in the future, because such gold, guys. So great. I remember a season in my life a few years ago, and you don't know how bad you feel till you feel good,
Yes.
right?
Thank you.
Yes. And I remember taking a deep breath, and I was quivering as I
Mhm.
was breathing. And I was like, what the heck is that? You know what I mean? Here's this girl and it was pre-divorce, and it was during a lot of turmoil and trauma and stuff. And I'm like, oh no bueno. That's not acceptable. But that's and so what did I do? I had to make some decisions
Yes.
for myself. I had to make choices. This was first and foremost, and this is the toughest. I had to love Cindy above everyone. My job became to feel the very best I can at all times, in all places, in all situations, in all circumstances, not manufactured, not fake, legit.
Yes.
So when you asked earlier, who are you? And I said, I am a conduit of light and love and joy.
Yes.
I literally, that's what I had to become, so that, and the breathing thing is so valuable
Oh,
because it's such a great barometer. And there are people, as to your point, that can't hold their breath for 4 seconds,
right.
right?
You
And
can't.
so, yeah, right. And so what I did for myself was I started bringing in anything that would, even if it was for a split second, that would flip me to joy, that would flip me to, and then of course later down the road in coding and all that. But in that moment, pre any of that, anything that would give me peace, anything that
Yes.
would give me calm, and I would ask myself, how can I support you, Cindy? What do you need right now? What do you need right now to really be who you really are? Well, who the heck am I anyway? I mean, all those combos, right? Right. And so I would go back again to the same thing. Now, for me, of course, and I know with you, I believe is the same. For me, my faith really played a huge role in that. I'm like, okay, Lord, what the heck? You know what I mean? I mean, that's the way I talk to God anyway. Like, what the heck? I need some help here.
Help me
But
out.
right? I mean, and but that is what I was given was, hey, take
Hmm.
it, eat the mouse, not the elephant. To your
Yep.
point, valuable point. Take teeny tiny little get the thimble if you got to get the thimble size.
Right. Hey, I'll tell you what, if they served you a whole trough of it, you would have been like, and so,
Yeah.
I mean, so I could handle the thimble, but I
Yep.
wasn't like going,
So good. Right. 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 And
So,
then just do it a little. And then I think there's something to be said for awareness.
mm,
Pay attention and be aware,
because you
right?
just said something that's huge, huge.
Mhm.
Sample life.
Right.
But when you commit, don't dabble. Because if you dabble, you're done.
That's right. Ooh, that's good.
Right?
That's a t-shirt.
That's well, and it's so true. I see people and they dabble in everything. They go, oh, a little of this,
Mhm.
a little of that. And I go, well, what are you proficient in? It's like, not really anything.
Mhm.
But I can do one card trick. I can make two drinks, but I don't drink. And it's like, oh, wait, what? So you're a jack of all trades and master of none of them?
Right.
Pretty much. And
Mhm.
we know people that, and this goes back to the very beginning of our conversation, which is how many of those people are dabbling in their own engagement because they're like going, and they don't ask high quality questions.
Yep.
Oh, ooh. They're like going, well, why am I not wealthy? And I go, ask a better question.
Right.
How can I love and appreciate even more all the gifts I have in my life right now
Right.
and share that and create even more value? And I go, because you know what increased value brings?
Mhm.
More compensation.
100%.
And they go, so we're asking the same thing, just in a slightly different way.
Different
And I'm like,
frequency.
huh.
Mhm.
So instead of asking, how much is that? Ask, wow, what are some of the things I can engage in that would
Mhm.
allow me to get that?
Right.
Very different level of empowerment, very different level of engagement as far as asking ourselves, of ourselves, to ourselves, with ourselves, how to progress forward in a deliberate way.
100%.
There's too many people that are committed to hopium right now. They are addicted to hopium.
I
Oh
am
my,
writing it down.
it's a terrible drug. It's more addictive than sugar.
100%. In fact, I don't use that word hope on purpose because it's weak to me. I don't want to get any blowback from anybody, but to me,
No, bring
it's a
it. No, bring
it's
it. Because here's the deal. If you hope that change is going to happen in your life, if you hope, I said, here's the difference. That means that you want it, but you're not willing to do what's necessary to experience it, get it, achieve it, and own it.
yep. Yes. And
So
own it.
all that tells me is you're not committed.
100%.
And I'm sorry, but life does not work that way.
Mm-mm.
In
Hope
fact,
to-
I'm going to go negative. I'll go, yes, and because there is a yes, and you can have everything that you want all the time whenever you want it. And they're like, really? What does it take? I said, making a decision.
Yep.
Mammoth action. Focus.
Focus.
Presence. Integrity. Authenticity. And they're like going, oh my gosh. They go, I don't know if I can do that. And I said, I told you it was simple, but not easy.
Not easy. Yeah.
So most people are not willing, and I'll make this statement. Everything that people are searching and desiring rests and lives in everything that they're not doing.
Oh, yes.
Because if
Yes.
they were and they sampled it and they liked it, they would take ownership.
Mhm.
They decided that the cost was too much. Health and vitality, the cost is too much. I'll eat junk food. That clean water or hygiene, good dental hygiene.
Right.
There are some people that still have aluminum fillings in their mouth, and it's causing dis-ease and disruption in the frequencies of their body.
Yep.
And it's like, wait, what? Yes, have that stuff taken out of you. If you're listening to me right now, and I'm not a
Yes.
dentist, but I'm telling you, go get porcelain fillings. Your teeth will look white and beautiful and clear, You won't
Yeah.
open your mouth and look like, you've got a grill or you're a pimp daddy or pimp mama. You will be able to live your life, and you will find that your energy will elevate, because this is a receptor for
Yes.
energy that's flowing around you. And when it gets stopped here, it doesn't fill in here. So it becomes a challenge. And this is something we could go, oh, I love speaking with you. It's because
I
this whole why actually goes way beyond just your physical presence, and it's body, mind, and spirit.
Mhm.
Because why you're here may not have been to have a physical conversation or an intellectual one.
Right.
It was to have an energetic engagement. And then when you're in the presence of Cindy, trust me, energy abounds.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're a blessing. And people need to know that this is so important. It is important.
It is
Because
important.
these simple fundamental questions.
Mhm.
So Cindy, let's answer something for them, because we have
Okay.
about 4 minutes left.
Yes.
And if we were to ask someone and say, what will get you to where you need to be the fastest? What would you say? What
Decide.
advice would you give someone?
Two things. You've already said them. Make the decision.
Mm-hmm.
Make and resolve, not just, I hope that'll happen one day. I mean,
Love it.
resolve, and then ask the quality questions that it's going to take to get you there. For me, I see myself already there. It's already done. It's done.
Right.
And everything I want is in the field. All I have to do is point and click, and then resolve to show up. That's it. I mean, to me, it's that simple. Anything, no matter what it is, right? And
So where
so,
focus goes, energy flows.
100%,
So
100%.
stop living in avoidance
Yes.
and just turn your reticular activating system to how you need to feel most often today.
Mhm.
And if that's happy, well-adjusted, courageous, kind, authentic, real, driven, centered, guided, elevated, I go, awesome. Because you know what happens when you put that blinder of positivity and they go, oh, that's just happy talk. I go, no. Because what happens is when I'm looking over here and I'm going to the light, I'm leaving the darkness behind, the beratement, procrastination, invalidation, criticism.
Yep.
Hmm.
Focus on what you want. Don't focus on that. So let me share this really quick. I know that we have just a minute. So there's in the Bible, there's about 170 times women are mentioned in the Bible. One time that where God says, remember Lot's. We don't even get to know the chick's name. Just remember Lot's wife. And what was happening? Angels show up to get the two daughters out of Sodom and Gomorrah. Everything's burning to the ground. And all the angel says, just don't look back.
Yep.
What happened? She looks back. She turns into a pillar of salt. And what really happened was something she was meant to be passing through, she got stuck there. And she looked back. Now, how does that pertain to us even now? Well, when we continue to keep looking back, our hearts calcify like a pillar of salt.
Yes.
And then we get layers and layers and layers and layers instead of focusing on where we want to go. And sometimes we're more addicted to the dysfunction of our current or past than we are to the freedom that lays in front of us, like you said. And we just need to go. So
live in your heart, not in
right.
your head. Because calcification comes from judging where
Mm-hmm.
you're now.
Right.
And if you're searching for better, I'm going to ask all of us tonight to do yourself a favor. Just look for different. Because the moment that you say better, you have where this moment,
Yeah.
and you fit.
Mm,
And
so good.
that's the only way something can be better, is if I create comparison. It's like, no, 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 no.
Right. Yep. There's no
You're
greater
amazing.
than. Thanks. You're amazing.
I love our conversations, and I pray I get to have many, many more engagements with you. It's so fun, and you are such a blessing.
You too. Thanks so much.
Before we sign off, how can people find out more about you and where you're at? Because it's imperative that you connect with this woman.
Thank you. So on Facebook, just look for The Victory Network. free group. Just join us there, or Cindy Gould. I'm on Facebook as well. My shows are on the Spanglish World Network here, are Fridays at 11 a.m. Pacific, and it's Create Your Victorious Life. And Chuck will be on my show, I'm sure, before the end of this year. Thank you.
It'd be my pleasure. Thank you so much.
Mhm.
And thank you for this spirited conversation, all this information. I'm going to remind all of our viewing audience that this show can also be heard on the Spanglish Radio Network. Please check us out for all the news and all the programming. Spanglish World, watch it, hear it, read it, download it, and live it. Thank you, Cindy. Appreciate you, dear.
Thank you.